If you want to sleep here, prove you deserve it.
If you want to sleep here, prove you deserve it. The billionaire leaned back in his chair, watching with a cynical smile the dirty and thin man standing before him. The homeless man's eyes were tired, but there was something defiant in them. The billionaire's voice cut through the silence like a sharp blade. This is a luxury hotel, my friend. This is not a place for just anyone. You think you can walk in and be treated like a person? Don't make me laugh. The homeless man, standing in the entrance of the marble lobby, didn't move. He knew exactly the reaction that would provoke. He knew the billionaire didn't even have a clue who he was. He had been pushed around like this before, with a contempt that was all too familiar. It was always like that, no matter where he went. But now, the humiliation came from someone much more powerful, someone who looked at him as if he were nothing. Prove you deserve to be here, or leave. I don't want to see your face again, the billionaire repeated, this time with an even more arrogant tone, taking a sip of his expensive whiskey. He knew he was dealing with someone inferior, and that gave him pleasure. The manager in the background, with a nervous smile, watched the scene, barely hiding his muffled laughter. And it was at this exact moment that the homeless man, with trembling hands, pulled something from his torn pocket. A crumpled, time-stained photograph. He extended the picture towards the billionaire, who furrowed his brow. He looked at the paper for a moment, confused. What? What is this? The billionaire asked, his confidence starting to waver. The homeless man took a deep breath. This building was designed by me. I built this place. Every detail, every piece of concrete you're standing on. I'm the one responsible for this, but you've never seen me, have you? You never knew what I did. You just came with your money and bought it. The billionaire looked at him, now more tense but still doubtful. Are you telling me that you, built my hotel? He laughed, an uncomfortable laugh, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. But the homeless man didn't smile. He simply looked into the billionaire's eyes and said calmly, Yes, I built it, and I was thrown out by people like you. If you're as outraged as I am about what just happened, you won't want to miss what comes next. Stories like this, full of twists and justice, happen all the time, and I bring them all to you. So, subscribe now, hit the bell, and stay tuned for the most impactful karma and plot twist stories that will change the way you see the world. Don't miss the chance to join us and see what really happens when the truth comes to light. The billionaire stared at the photo, still not believing what he saw. He squinted, trying to understand. The homeless man watched everything calmly, as if he already knew this wouldn't be easy to digest. However, the billionaire's arrogance didn't fade. He still had the feeling that this was just a farce, a desperate attempt from someone who wanted attention. But the man in front of him, not expressing any anger, not shouting, began to tell the story in a cold and steady voice. I'm not just a homeless man. I was an engineer. I'm the reason this place exists. I worked on this hotel for years, overseeing every part of the construction, making sure the foundation was solid, that the materials were of good quality. I spent sleepless nights just to make sure everything was perfect. But you don't know that. You only see money. You buy and discard. The billionaire shook his head, laughing nervously, trying to hold his ground. But the tension in the air was palpable. He straightened in his chair, a little uncomfortable, still thinking this was all an attempt to humiliate him. And you think anyone here cares about your past? That's irrelevant. What matters is that you're here, dirty, with nothing. And I am who I am. That's what life made you. A failure. His words cut through the air like a knife, and the manager behind the billionaire, who was watching the scene, swallowed hard, clearly uncomfortable. But the homeless man remained unfazed. He simply smiled, that bitter smile of someone who had seen more than he should have in life. You think I'm a failure? He asked, stepping a little closer. I'll show you what failure is. Look at this hotel. Look closely. Do you know what happened to me after I finished building this? I was discarded. I'm nothing anymore. I didn't even get to the door to see my work being celebrated. Instead, I was thrown out like trash, while you, with your dirty money, took everything I did as yours. The billionaire suddenly stood up, already tired of the game. He looked directly into the homeless man's eyes with an air of disdain. You want respect? Come to me and show me something that impresses me. These are just empty words, my friend. I'm not the one you need to convince. And if you think there's something about me that I don't know, then show it. I don't have time for this kind of game. The homeless man then took a step forward. The air was tense, as if both were preparing for a physical confrontation, but that wasn't what would happen. The homeless man, with a fixed gaze, said without hesitation, "I don't need your approval. I don't need anything from you, but you will see, because I'm not here just to ask for a place to sleep. I'm here to expose you, and you can't hide what's behind your dirty fortune." The billionaire took a deep breath, trying to hide his discomfort. He turned to the manager, who was still standing there, nervous like a child who didn't know where to hide. The manager tried to smile, but his face was pale, as if he felt something was about to happen but didn't know what. "Look at him," the billionaire said, pointing at the homeless man with a laugh. "He's here challenging me, as if he has some power. This trash thinks he can make me tremble? Can he prove anything to me? No, he can't, because the only thing he is a failure. I'm everything he'll never be." But the homeless man, without moving, without a single tremor in his voice, said, "I don't need what you have, but you will need what I know, and I'm going to show the truth to everyone. There's no way you can hide it." With every word, the billionaire seemed to lose a little of his confidence. He backed away, trying to hide his unease, but the homeless man had already planted the seed of doubt. The manager once again took a step back, clearly uncomfortable, while others around them began to pay attention. The homeless man had planted the seed of doubt, and it was starting to grow. The billionaire looked at the homeless man with disdain, but there was something in the man's eyes that began to make him uncomfortable. It was an empty gaze, but at the same time, filled with a long, suppressed rage, as if the man before him knew something he had never known. And for the first time, the billionaire felt that perhaps his arrogance wouldn't be enough to cover the truth that was beginning to infiltrate. At that moment, the manager, still tense, rushed to the billionaire's side, almost leaning toward him. "Sir, you need to see what he showed, what he's saying." But the billionaire raised his hand, interrupting him, as if irritated by the mere fact of being challenged by such an insignificant man. He was used to being the center of attention, controlling situations with a simple gesture. "Are you still afraid of this beggar?" the billionaire asked sarcastically, turning to the manager. "He's nothing. Just another one of many who think they can do something big. He wants me to believe he did this? Show me something that proves otherwise, and I'll consider the matter closed." The homeless man, however, didn't move. He maintained a cold expression, but his eyes were filled with growing intensity. He knew the billionaire was playing his last card, trying to force the situation in his favor with his boundless arrogance. And he also knew that the man in front of him was wrong. He believed he could control everything with money, but there was something that even the richest man couldn't control: the truth. "Prove? You want me to prove?" The homeless man raised his voice, but it wasn't a shout. It was a powerful statement, as if he were reclaiming all the power he had lost. "What you call proof is just another example of what you don't understand. You challenge me as if I were just any homeless man, but what you don't know is that I can destroy you with a single word. I don't need your permission to be here. I am what you will never be." The billionaire, with his ever-imposing face, leaned even further forward, challenging him with a look. "Are you feeling important now? How dare you challenge me?" He stepped forward, but the homeless man didn't flinch. He simply stood there, not moving a muscle, waiting for the next move. "I am what you made me, and you will pay for it," the homeless man said, his voice now stronger, a courage rising from somewhere deep within him, a place no one had ever seen. "You stole my life. You made me lose everything, and now you think you can despise me? You won't ignore me anymore. What I will show you will be more than just the fact that I built this building. It will be the end of what you think you are." The billionaire straightened up, now visibly irritated, but still confident that money could solve everything. "What are you going to do? Scare me? Threaten me? I am the most powerful person here. You're just talking because you're desperate. There's nothing you can do." It was then that the homeless man, without rushing, pulled another photo from his torn pocket, this time clearer. He extended the photo, showing the hotel's construction, but now with details the billionaire hadn't seen. "This is the original blueprint. Take a good look, billionaire. I was in charge of the project. I was responsible for everything you see here, even the foundations you're standing on. But what you don't know, what you'll never know, is that you bought this in an illegal way. And all of this was done with my hands, my mind. And then, you threw me away like I was nothing." The billionaire, now with a look of disbelief, stared at the photo. "This is a scam," he said, trying not to believe what he was seeing. "This can't be true." But the homeless man didn't stop. "You think I came here to ask for help? No. I came to show who you really are, for everyone to see. I came to reveal the truth, what you did, and how you got all of this. I am nothing to you, right? But you'll see what happens when the truth starts coming out of the shadows." The billionaire, with anger starting to take over, turned to the manager, trying to restore the situation. "Call security. This guy doesn't know who he's messing with." But before he could move, the homeless man raised his hand. "Do you really want to know who you're messing with? I'm the man who destroyed you, and you don't know it yet. But you will. Because what you're going to lose won't just be this hotel, it will be everything you think you built with your money. I'm going to expose it all." The billionaire, now clearly nervous, tried to hide his frustration with a fake smile. He looked at the manager, hoping the man would take some action. But the manager didn't know what to do. He was paralyzed, unable to intervene, as if he were witnessing something much bigger than he could control. The billionaire noticed the panic in the subordinate's eyes and turned his attention back to the homeless man, now overflowing with anger. "Do you think you can intimidate me with these lies? This is just a desperate attempt to get attention," the billionaire said, his voice now more aggressive. He advanced again, trying to assert himself. "I'm the owner of this place. You're just a piece of trash who doesn't deserve a second of my time." The homeless man didn't move, but his gaze was more piercing than ever. He no longer cared about what the billionaire was saying. All he wanted was to expose the truth, to show that this man, with his arrogance and wealth, was nothing more than an empty facade built upon the work and pain of others. "Do you think you can intimidate me?" the homeless man responded, now with a low but firm voice. "You're nothing compared to what I've already faced. Do you think money can cover the truth? It can't. And you know that. Everything you've done is by a lie." The billionaire, in his attempt to maintain control, took a step forward, standing face to face with the man who, until that moment, had seemed completely powerless. "You don't understand. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I am the reason you're here, filthy and worthless. I am the man who can destroy you in the blink of an eye." But the homeless man looked directly into the billionaire's eyes, unshaken. "You're the reason I'm here, but I'm not the one who's going to be destroyed. You will pay for what you've done. I won't kneel for you or for what you represent. And you know what else? I don't need anything you have. But you will need something far bigger than money when the truth is revealed." The billionaire was beginning to lose control. He spun on his heels, his hands trembling slightly. "You think you're going to expose me? I'm unbeatable. I bought everything I see, even you." He laughed, but it was a nervous laugh, an attempt to hide the growing panic forming inside him. The homeless man, seeing the billionaire's fragile facade breaking down, began to walk slowly through the marble lobby, his presence silent but imposing. "You can buy anything you want, but you will never buy the truth. What you did to me, and to so many others, won't be silenced by money. You can humiliate me, but the truth will shout louder." The manager in the background exchanged nervous glances with some of the employees who were starting to gather discreetly around. They were all listening, starting to realize what was happening, what was about to be exposed. The room was charged with an electric tension, the calm before the storm. The billionaire, now completely out of patience, shouted, "Security! This has gone too far. Get this man out of here." But the homeless man, without hesitation, said firmly, "You think you can control everything? You think you can buy even the air you breathe? It's going to be you who gets thrown out of here, not me. Because what I carry, what I know, will make you disappear faster than any security you call." The billionaire took a step toward the homeless man, no longer showing any sign of his previous arrogance. "You're playing with fire. I will make you pay for this. It will be faster than you think." But as he spoke, his voice wavered. He wasn't as sure anymore. Something in his posture was breaking. The homeless man approached, now completely immune to fear, and said with a chilling calm, "You don't know what it's like to face destruction. You don't know what it's like to lose everything and have nothing to fall back on. I've lived that, and you will feel the weight of everything you've done, because the truth always comes to light, and when it does, there will be nothing you can do." As the billionaire, with his nerves on edge, tried to maintain his facade of power, the homeless man remained completely calm, now in full emotional control of the situation. He knew that time was on his side. The billionaire was sinking in his own arrogance, and the crowd was beginning to switch sides. The billionaire was almost beside himself. The facade of power he had always flaunted was crumbling before his very eyes. He began pacing back and forth, his anger nearly overwhelming him. "You're going to regret this. I'm going to destroy you. You have no idea what I'm capable of." But the homeless man calmly crossed his arms. He already knew that the billionaire was lost, and there was nothing he could do to reverse the situation. "You can shout all you want, but it won't change anything. You'll never understand what I went through, and honestly, I don't expect you to. I'm just here to show you one thing. Your empire is about to fall." The billionaire stopped pacing, glaring at the man. "What do you think you're going to do? Destroy me with words? I'm a billionaire. I can buy your life with a snap of my fingers." "You can't buy the truth," the homeless man said, with a calm that defied the billionaire's arrogance. "And you can't erase what you've done. Not even your money can cover the pain you've caused." The manager, now completely nervous, stepped forward. "Sir, maybe we should—" But he was interrupted by the billionaire, who cut him off with an impatient gesture. "Shut up," he shouted. "I know what I'm doing. I'm not weak like him." The homeless man with cold eyes took a step toward the billionaire, who instinctively recoiled. The man had no fear left. He looked at the billionaire with an expression almost of pity. "You no longer have control over this. No amount of money will save you now." The billionaire, gasping for air, tried to find strength in his arrogance. "I'll sue you. I'll make you disappear. No one will believe you." But the homeless man smiled, not from happiness but from deep bitterness. "You won't need to. You'll fall on your own, because everything you've built on lies and pain is going to crumble, and it's going to be ugly." He paused, letting the words linger in the air. "I'm the one responsible for this place, for every brick, every crane. And when they threw me out, they destroyed my life. You didn't bring me down, billionaire. You didn't destroy me. I'm here to make you remember that." The billionaire, in rage, advanced once again, almost invading the homeless man's space. "You have no idea who you're messing with. I'm unbeatable. I'm the reason for all this luxury. I built my empire from scratch. You're just a piece of trash who thinks he can challenge me. You'll see what happens to those who challenge me." "You call me trash?" The homeless man didn't hesitate. "What you call trash is a man who built something great, something true, and you took it and destroyed it. They threw me out, and you think you can walk around in your expensive suits and call others trash? You're nothing but a well-wrapped lie." The billionaire, now speechless, looked around desperately, trying to regain control of the situation, but the homeless man's gaze penetrated him. He knew he had lost. He felt a chill, as if he were starting to understand that the lie he had built his life on was finally disintegrating before him. The room was silent, and the crowd, until then reticent, was beginning to understand the gravity of the situation. The billionaire was in a state of denial, struggling to maintain his image, but the truth the homeless man had planted was starting to grow, and everyone present could see that no matter how much the billionaire tried to deny it, the facade was crumbling. The manager, wide-eyed, finally approached the billionaire, lightly touching his shoulder. "Sir, I think he's right. I think it's time to—" The billionaire spun around abruptly with blind rage. "Shut up, I won't listen to this, you don't understand anything." The homeless man, without losing his calm, looked at the billionaire, and, with even greater firmness, said, "I understand more than you imagine, and the worst part is, now you'll have to deal with your own lie. I'm not going to destroy you. You will destroy yourself." It was at that moment that the billionaire, in one last act of desperation, shouted to the manager, "Call security. Get this man out of here now." But the homeless man finally smiled without a trace of anger. "You no longer have control here. The truth is already out, and what comes next you'll see for yourself." The tension was so thick it felt like the air couldn't pass through. The billionaire, now completely shaken, felt the weight of the homeless man's words. He knew he was beginning to lose something much greater than a simple argument. He was losing control over everything he had always believed was his. The homeless man calmly crossed his arms. He already knew the billionaire was lost, and there was nothing he could do to reverse the situation. "You can shout all you want, but it won't change anything. You'll never understand what I went through, and honestly, I don't expect you to. I'm just here to show you one thing. Your empire is about to collapse." The billionaire stopped walking, glaring at the man. What do you think you're going to do? Destroy me with words? I'm a billionaire. I can buy your life with a snap of my fingers. You can't buy the truth, the homeless man said, with a calmness that defied the billionaire's arrogance. And you can't erase what you've done. Not even your money can cover the pain you've caused. The manager, now completely nervous, stepped forward. Sir, maybe we should... But he was interrupted by the billionaire, who cut him off with an impatient gesture. Shut up, he shouted. I know what I'm doing. I'm not weak like him. The homeless man with cold eyes took a step toward the billionaire, who instinctively recoiled. The man had no fear left. He looked at the billionaire with an expression almost of pity. You no longer have control over this. No amount of money will save you now. The billionaire, panting, tried to find strength in his arrogance. I'll sue you. I'll make you disappear. No one will believe you. But the homeless man smiled, not from happiness, but from deep bitterness. You won't need to. You'll fall on your own, because everything you've built on lies and pain is going to crumble, and it's going to be ugly. He paused, letting the words hang in the air. I'm the one responsible for this place, for every brick, every crane. And when they threw me out, they destroyed my life. You didn't bring me down, billionaire. You didn't destroy me. I'm here to make you remember that. The billionaire, in anger, advanced once again, almost invading the homeless man's space. You have no idea who you're messing with. I'm unbeatable. I'm the reason for all this luxury. I built my empire from scratch. You're just a piece of trash who thinks he can challenge me. You'll see what happens to those who challenge me. You call me trash? The homeless man didn't hesitate. What you call trash is a man who built something great, something true, and you took it and destroyed it. They threw me out, and you think you can walk around in your expensive suits and call others trash? You're nothing but a well-wrapped lie. The billionaire, now speechless, looked around desperately, trying to regain control of the situation. But the homeless man's gaze penetrated him. He knew he had lost. He felt a chill, as if he were beginning to understand that the lie he had built his life on was finally disintegrating before him. The room was silent, and the crowd, until then reticent, was beginning to understand the gravity of the situation. The billionaire was in a state of denial, struggling to maintain his image, but the truth the homeless man had planted was starting to grow, and everyone present could see that no matter how much the billionaire tried to deny it, the facade was crumbling. The manager, wide-eyed, finally approached the billionaire, lightly touching his shoulder. Sir, I think he's right. I think it's time to... The billionaire spun around abruptly with blind rage. Shut up. I won't listen to this. You don't understand anything. The homeless man, without losing his calm, looked at the billionaire, and with even greater firmness said, I understand more than you imagine. And the worst part is, now you'll have to deal with your own lie. I'm not going to destroy you. You will destroy yourself. It was at that moment that the billionaire, in one last act of desperation, shouted to the manager, Call security. Get this man out of here now. But the homeless man finally smiled, without a trace of anger. You no longer have control here. The truth is already out. And what comes next, you'll see for yourself. The tension was so thick it felt like the air couldn't pass through. The billionaire, now completely shaken, felt the weight of the homeless man's words. He knew he was beginning to lose something much greater than a simple argument. He was losing control over everything he had always believed was his. The billionaire was in a panic. Every word from the homeless man seemed to pierce deeper, like a sharp needle, and the mask of power he had worn was becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. He stepped back from the homeless man, almost stumbling over his own words, desperately trying to find a way to regain control of the situation. But the homeless man knew the billionaire was lost. He had been led here by his own greed, by the need to prove he was better than everyone else. And now, he was facing someone he had dismissed, someone with the power to expose the lie that upheld his fortune. With the calm of someone who already knew the game, the homeless man said, It's no use anymore, billionaire. The truth is here, and no one can erase it. You think money can cover up what you've done, but it can't. There's nowhere left to hide. Lies always come to light, and today you'll see how much your lie costs. The billionaire tried to pull himself together, but his eyes were empty, his face tense. He knew the homeless man was right. You're making all of this up. No one will believe you. I am what I am by merit. I'm a self-made man. I fought for my fortune. You fought, yes. You fought to destroy everything that's real. You took what was mine. what was built with hard work and sweat, and used it as if it were yours. But the truth can't be bought. And now, you'll pay for everything you've done. You don't have to believe me, but everyone here will know who you really are. The homeless man wasn't in a hurry. He knew the truth would spread like wildfire. Desperately trying to maintain his composure, the billionaire turned to the manager, now visibly sweating and uncomfortable. You're going to help me fix this, right? Let's get him out of here. Call security, someone. But the manager, clearly shaken by the scene, hesitated. He looked at the homeless man, and then at the billionaire, his face reflecting an internal conflict. He was beginning to understand that this was no longer about a simple eviction. He could feel he was witnessing the collapse of something much bigger. Sir, the manager started, but his voice faltered. I think he's right. The manager's words fell like a bomb in the silence that followed. The billionaire froze, his eyes widening in surprise and fury. What? You're on his side now? Are you really saying that? Are you going to betray me too? The tone of contempt and rage in the billionaire's voice was almost palpable. But the manager, now without the security of his position, shook his head. I'm not saying that, but he's right. We can't hide the truth anymore. What you did, what all of us did, can't be ignored. The billionaire turned back to the homeless man, his face contorting with rage. He was losing the battle and didn't know how to react anymore. You think you're going to bring me down? I'm unbeatable. You can't destroy me. You can't. But the homeless man, with an unsettling calm, simply said, I don't need to destroy you. You've already destroyed yourself, and everyone will see that. Now, the homeless man took a step forward, pulling another photo from his torn pocket. He extended it to the billionaire, who was almost trembling with anger and frustration. This is what you didn't know. When you pushed me out of the project, you didn't know I documented everything. Every mistake, every failure you made to make more money at the expense of my work. And now everyone will know. He handed the photo to the billionaire, who hesitated for a moment, staring at the image. What are you going to do with this? It won't change anything. The homeless man simply smiled without a trace of anger, just the certainty of someone who had already won. This photo will be distributed. The world will know what you did, and there's nothing your money can do to erase it. The tension in the room was unbearable. The billionaire knew the game was over. He was now exposed in a way that could not be undone. What he feared more than anything was seeing his public image destroyed, his credibility crumbling. And then, in the most tense moment of all, the homeless man said with unrelenting calm, You want to know what it's like to lose everything? Look at me. I'm the man who lost everything, but now I'm the man who will expose you. The billionaire, his face now pale, stepped back as if struck by an invisible blow. He looked around at the others, employees, managers, even the crowd that was beginning to gather, and the last thing he saw was the expression of disdain and anger in everyone's eyes. The billionaire's mask had completely fallen. The billionaire was now completely shaken. He tried to pull away, desperately clinging to the last piece of his facade of power, but everything was crumbling around him. He looked at the homeless man now with an expression of pure panic, but to his surprise, the homeless man didn't seem worried about him anymore. He was in complete control of the situation, as if he knew that the billionaire's fate was already sealed. There's nothing you can do anymore, the homeless man said, his voice calm but with absolute certainty. The truth is here, and you will pay for everything you've done. The billionaire, desperate, began shouting for the manager, asking for help, but the man, once so submissive, now stood still, unable to defend the billionaire. He knew the game was over. Then, in the billionaire's moment of total despair, the doors of the hotel swung open. Reporters began to pour in, cameras started to roll, and the homeless man knew that this was the pivotal moment. He had prepared for this. The photos in his hands, the documents he had carefully kept, all the evidence was about to be revealed to the world. The news reports began to tell the truth. The construction of the hotel, the frauds, the irregular payments, the manipulated contracts, the lies the billionaire had told over the years to get to where he was. He hadn't just stolen the homeless man's work. He had used his influence to destroy many other lives. All of this was being exposed publicly in that moment. The tension in the room increased. The billionaire, visibly shaken, began to look around. He knew that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape this time. He was being exposed publicly as a fraud, as someone who had destroyed lives to build his own wealth. The farce he had sustained for so long could no longer be hidden. With a simple gesture, the homeless man pointed at the billionaire and said, "Everything you built on lies is going to collapse now. The world will know what kind of person you are." It was in that moment that, against all expectations, something incredible happened. The manager, who had stayed on the sidelines until then, did something unexpected. He approached the homeless man, looked at the billionaire, and in a low but firm voice said, "I'm no longer part of this. This man destroyed my life too. He destroyed the lives of many of us." The manager paused, taking a deep breath before looking at the homeless man. "You're right. What you did, what he did to you, I can't ignore it anymore. I have something to offer you." The homeless man looked at the manager with slight skepticism but no surprise. He knew the gears were turning in his favor, and he was about to experience the true turning point in his life. The manager turned to the reporters and said with a firmness the homeless man never would have imagined from him, "This man, he's not just any homeless person. He was the one responsible for the construction of this hotel. He was the lead engineer, and he was forced out. This man has more right to this hotel than anyone here. I will do whatever it takes to make this right." The reaction was immediate. The reporters, once skeptical, began to document everything. The crowd that had gathered, witnessing the billionaire's public humiliation, began to understand what was happening. The news spread quickly. The homeless man, the one who had been discarded, was actually the architect behind it all. The billionaire, now in shock, tried to speak, but his voice faltered. He didn't know what to do. He was being publicly unmasked, and what was even more devastating was that the homeless man was becoming the hero of the story. The manager, with renewed courage, turned to the homeless man and made a public announcement. "I take responsibility for this, and from now on, I'll make sure you get what you deserve. I'll help you recover what was taken from you." The homeless man for a moment looked at the manager, stunned. He hadn't expected that, not from a man like him, who always seemed so distant, but something in those words stirred him. "You're telling me that I can have my name back? That I can recover what was mine?" he asked, his voice carrying a mix of disbelief and hope. The manager nodded. "Yes, I can't undo what happened, but I can help you start over, and I'll make sure you're recognized for everything you've done." The reporters began to capture the moment. The homeless man's story was being rewritten before everyone's eyes. He was no longer a faceless man with no future. He was being recognized publicly as the true architect of the hotel. Justice was being served, not only for the billionaire but for him as well. The billionaire, watching the scene, fell into despair. He knew his fall was imminent, but karma wasn't just for him. The homeless man had regained his dignity, and now he was being rewarded by the truth. The billionaire's power had been subverted by pure truth and relentless justice. The manager turned to the homeless man and, with an unexpected sincerity, offered him the opportunity to reclaim his life. "I'll make sure you have a place here, a place of honor, because in the end, it was you who built this, and it's time for you to take your place back." The homeless man looked at him, and his eyes filled with an emotion he had never felt before. The turnaround in his life was complete. If this story has touched you and you want to see more moments of justice, twists, and karma, don't waste any time. Subscribe now to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss a video like this. And while you're here, make sure to watch the next video that's playing on your screen. More exciting and impactful stories are waiting for you. Don't miss what's coming next.